Oh, there was a couple of you bang on 9 a.m. and not here yet. Yes, we are. I mean, it is 1 minute past, but it actually went live.
The intro had to play.
The intro was playing. What is that? Like 8 seconds, 9 seconds, however long it is. That took us over the 9 a.m. But good morning. Welcome to United View. Welcome to your latest, I want to say transfer view, but it isn't. Well, actually, there is a little bit on David De Gea, actually, to be fair. There is. It's our morning show, and it's what next? You know, we after a crazy stream last night, after the big breaking news last night, everybody, you know, was getting the feeling of not wanting to even go to bed. No one wanted to go to sleep. We wake up and kind of what we thought, very, very quiet on the Western Front. There's nothing really going on from the mainstream journalists in terms of confirming or denying what we heard from yesterday. We did have some facts from yesterday, and we're still awaiting to see what the domestic journalists will do. Today is going to be a very interesting day. Get your coffees, get your hot chocolates, get your teas, get whatever it is you have. Strap yourselves in for the morning show. Big up to you if you're doing a school run or you're getting the kids ready for school or you're working from home or you're on your way to work, you're in the gym, wherever you are. Big up to you guys and get involved in the chat as you guys always do. Owen.
Yeah.
What next in United Takeover Saga? What are you expecting today?
I don't know. I mean, just to give people an update, if they missed last night or they missed what happened on social media with that paper, Al Watan, 50% ownership is by Sheikh Jassim's father. They went with the story last night that the Qatari takeover, or certainly Sheikh Jassim's takeover of Manchester United, was completed and an announcement was coming soon. Now, obviously, at the time, that was quite heavily disputed. And in the hours since then, there have been some people saying, well, Al Watan were retweeting a fake account. But if you still go on Al Watan's Twitter account, it's the pinned tweet there. And I've obviously, as we mentioned, other British or UK-based outlets picked up the fact that Qatar were going with it. They weren't necessarily reporting it, but they were saying this is what Qatar or sources or outlets in Qatar are saying this evening. As Flex mentions, since then, it still has been very quiet. Only really this morning, I've seen that TalkSport have talked about it, but they haven't really given any new information. I've seen Alex Crook saying that the Qataris are growing in confidence. It still looks like a two-horse race, though. The Qataris believe they're firmly in it, but it's a bit premature to say that they've won. And again, basically the growing consensus is that they're still confident, but none of the real true big hitters on this side of the pond, shall you say, have really gone with anything. I mean, Romano's tweeting about anything but the takeover. We haven't heard anything from David Ornstein. We haven't heard anything from Mike Keegan. We haven't heard anything from Ben Jacobs, but that's yet, because I'm sure they all are probably picking up the phones at the moment. I think the only real thing last night wasn't there coming from anyone over here in the UK was just that people are being kept very tight-lipped about this. That was kind of the phrase, wasn't it? Everyone's being very tight-lipped. I mean, the BBC economics editor as well, Faisal Islam, basically said the same thing, that people were being kept very tight-lipped. He also spoke a little bit more, again, from the economic stock point of view, talking about a story that was floating around when it came to the minority shareholders in Manchester United being possibly frustrated with a Sir Jim Ratcliffe/Ineos back takeover bid. He said, quote, "You're also hearing about some potential law cases from some of the owners of the minority shares, rather, that are listed, some of the hedge funds that own them, because what they want to know is why the Glazers might turn down a massive bid that would make these shareholders an awful lot of money," which is something that we
Something's going on here. Why are you turning that down?
Which is something that we spoke about the other day, is that from their point of view, they go, wait a minute, if this guy comes in and just buys the Glazers shares, hey, I want to maybe sell my share. I want to make myself a lot of money. That's why you invest in things, is to make money. So that's partially significant. But to answer your initial question as to what's next, your guess is as good as mine. Every single day, every single hour or minute, something could happen. And I know that's particularly vague, but that's the vagueness that we live in when it comes to this takeover stuff, is who knows? And I think the fact that we haven't heard anything from these domestic journalists yet is because nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on at the moment, Fleck. What do you think? What do you think?
Just quickly, what Ben Jacobs thinks. A couple of hours ago, Ben Jacobs did tweet, and he said lots of speculation. It was in response to somebody else who actually said to him, Ben, wake up. We need updates on Man United share price. What is happening? So that was 9 hours ago, but Ben Jacobs only replied 2 hours ago. So he was sleeping. He was, they're out of hours. But what Ben Jacobs did say is lots of speculation on the Man United sale process and an out of hours stock price surge reacting to that. But as of last night, no group had been informed they are successful, not expecting anything public or groundbreaking in the next few days. If that changes, I will update you. So actually, that's quite significant that he's saying that, because Ben Jacobs has been very big on this and quite good on this, actually, from this side of the water. He's one of the domestic journalists that if he says something, our ears have been pricking up and we've been listening to hear what he has to say. And to repeat, he says lots of speculation on the Man United sell process and out of hours stock price surge reaction to that. But as of last night, no group had been informed they are successful, not expecting anything public or groundbreaking in the next few days. If that changes, we'll update you. So he's basically saying that it's speculation from Qatar. His sources, because he's obviously going to check his own, he can only go off his own. He's saying that as of last night, that's not the case. Qatar haven't won. You know, he says it right there in black and white. You know, as of last night, no group, so not Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but definitely not Qatar, have been informed that they are successful. And he's not expecting anything in public in the coming days. So anything groundbreaking. So he's playing that down. And that's what we said would probably happen from this side of the coin. Either they regurgitate it and say, you know, contrary to, like you said, Owen, contrary to the reports, there's still no preferred bidder, which essentially is what Ben Jacobs just did. We said that yesterday, that the line of communication into Qatar and the line of communication that the British journalists and media have had with Qatar has been non-existent. So they ain't gonna just believe some Qatari outlets saying that. You know, what they're gonna say is, how credible are those sources? Yes, they're over there in Qatar, but they don't know. No one in the British media knows them outlets or people in them outlets or has inroads to them outlets. Very, very unlikely. So the fact that they're claiming that, there's not really a lot the British media can say. All they can say is, well, we haven't been told that. As far as I know, there's no preferred bidder. And he's been saying that for a while. So that is significant.
You think about where their sources might come from. And again, this is speculation. But you think that, you know, logically, you would think, again, these domestic journalists, their sources would most likely come. I mean, they've spoken more really about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, because again, that would make sense because of, again, the proximity to the bidder in terms of location, geographically. You would think their sources might be closer to the Rain Group themselves, an American-based merchant bank. As you mentioned, there has been a big gap between sort of journalists talking about the 9-2 Foundation or anything Qatari based. It's been a lot more speculative, hasn't it? Because it's been a lot quieter. And in addition to that reply that Ben Jacobs did to a person on Twitter, he then retweeted what he put out on June 11th, which was that big thread about neither the 9-2 Foundation or Ineos was going to be placed in a period of exclusivity or be named as a preferred bidder. Essentially, the next step was going to be you've either won or you haven't. But again, if you wanted to take a step back journalistically and look at this story that he said at that time, he's talking about the process. He's not talking about either bid. He's not talking about sources close to Sheikh Jassim or sources close to the 9-2 Foundation. He's talking about sources close to the actual takeover process itself, which again would suggest that's coming more from the Rain Group or the Glazers themselves. So this one kind of comes back down to where you get your information from a little bit, isn't it? Or where they get their information from, because I'm sure every journalist throughout this process has had their people that they go to. And after what happened last night and the surge of the stock price, which again is largely based on speculation. I mean, it does tell a story, but that's people on Wall Street hearing the same things that we hear and seeing the same things that we see and go, let's take a chance. Let's buy some stocks or whatever it may be. And I'm sure, like we said last night, I'm sure that all of these journalists during last night and probably all the way through the night picked up the phone and said, are you hearing this? Like, is this true? Is this true? And I'm sure probably their sources, if they were from Rain or people close to the Glazers or Sir Jim, they go, is this true? Have you lost? And they go, we haven't heard anything. So they'd be like, well, no one's heard anything. So no one's been confirmed anything like that. And even if they had sources in Sheikh Jassim's bid, probably what happened last night, if it indeed is not done, could potentially upset or actually jeopardize some aspects of a bid. So they'd be like, that got out. That wasn't meant to get out. Don't talk about it anymore. We gave it to, a paper that's owned by this guy's dad, but that's it. Okay. No more leaks, loose lips sink ships, all that kind of stuff. So well, I feel like we might end in another day of pure speculation and
Absolutely.
pure guesswork.
Absolutely. And I don't think anything significant will happen from the Qatari side. That's why last night, obviously, yes, it was exciting. Yes, it was significant. We could not ignore it. And a lot of you were really excited by it. A lot of you were really encouraged by it. Some of you were even planning, what it looks like, what players were, really thinking far ahead. And me and Owen said many times, didn't we? We said, listen, keep calm. This doesn't mean it's done. This is just a claim from Qatar, which is significant because we haven't seen that before. But actually, it was backed up by Faisal Islam, like I said, the BBC economy editor. That was significant and retweeted by Simon Stone. There was a little bit of a sort of cosign there to say that's how he felt. That was his opinion, to be fair.
And they spoke about again, actually, in the last couple of minutes, literally in the last 4 minutes, he's tweeted again about, and again, this coming from a purely economic stock point of view, because that's his wheelhouse. He's the economy editor, as you mentioned, economics editor. He said, quote, update in now pre-market trading in New York, Manchester United share price is now up 24% on last night's close to $25 a share, adding close to $1 billion in value. So the value of Man United has got up $1 billion overnight. Indicates some trades in thin trading betting on Qatar Takeover, but would be even higher, closer to / above $30 in a done deal scenario. So he's sort of suggesting that it's up a lot and it's up significantly because of this speculation. But if it was indeed a done deal, guaranteed done deal, he would expect it to be up a little bit higher than this, to around $30 per share as opposed to 25. So that kind of actually does sort of spell out the place that we're in of, we're at the rumor stage, but if we were truly done official deal, we'd probably be up much higher at this point, or certainly closer to a done deal. We'd certainly be up much higher.
It shows that that those traders, like you said, it says they're betting on the Qatar takeover. It's like going to the bookies and going, the noises are loud. This player I think is going to move. Let me put some money down, get in there early, cash in on the share. That's the aim of the game. That's what it is. Be ahead of the curve, cash in on the share early. So, and this is why we had to be quite patient with this and not get carried away, because really what we're seeing is not that yesterday was fake news. It wasn't fake news. It was real. It was from real sources in Qatar. It has been co-signed by real sources here. Doesn't mean it's over, but what it does mean is that the rumors ramped up, and that had an impact on the share prices. Not necessarily, like you say in there, because it was signed, sealed, and delivered, and an announcement's imminent. And congratulations, Sheikh Jassim. That's not the reason it went up. The reason it went up was because rumors started circulating. Maybe the rumors are true, maybe they're not. But the rumors were strong enough for shareholders to take a punt.
Yeah, or even not even non-shareholders. People just on the stock market thinking, hey, I'm a United fan, or I've seen this news. Let's see what happens, because even if they wanted to turn it around very quickly, if they bought last night at $20 a share, even if this morning when it opens up, it's 25, they might go, well, I've made my money there. I'll just sell it off. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as that, day traders. So that's interesting too. As we said last night, certainly in the midst of all of it, and I've seen a lot of people going, well, it's not really concrete, fake news, blah, blah, blah. Certainly, with what happened last night and what's happening this morning, there is a story. Whether that story is everyone got duped by some false news, everyone got duped by some rumors coming out of Qatar, maybe people jumped the gun, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's the story. But certainly it does feel like, doesn't there, that like there is certainly something going on. But as we really stressed last night, and it must be stressed again, you have to be really cautious. You can't be, if you're a fan of the Qatari back bid, I wouldn't be celebrating victory just yet, because I don't think they're at that stage or anything of that nature. But it certainly again is significant, and I think everyone today already, I mean, it's 9:16 British summertime here in the UK, and I think everyone at the moment is still kind of doing the whole, like, looking around going, have you heard? Like, is there any, no, and maybe that's what we're going to be doing all day. But the end game is we don't hear anything at all.
No, I don't think we will. I honestly don't think we will. Make no mistake, right? David Ornstein is aware that his mentions and his notifications are absolutely blowing off. David, DMs, say something, confirm this. He knows what's going on. Laurie Whitwell, Mike Keegan, Ben Jacobs clearly knows what's going on. He's already spoken. Everybody knows. All these journalists know what's happening on social media and knows what the reports from Qatar have been claiming. But they have to be very, very, very careful in this period, because they know that Man United fans, the majority online, I know it's a whole different stratosphere, but with where this is all dropping and where the most commotion is happening, it's not happening in physical form in the papers, really, is it? It's not happening on Sky Sports News. It's not happening on BBC Sport. It's not happening on those like big outlets whereby they only talk about factual things, or they're very careful about rumors that they do talk about. This is happening in the world of Twitter, which some people say is not the place for judge, jury, executioner, ruler. It isn't, because it's people can make stuff up, rumors can catch on. It's not seen as the most credible place of information. But within Twitter, if you follow the right people and make your own judgments, it can be a very credible place to get up to date, up to the time information that's way ahead of your major outlets, BT, Sky Sports, ESPN, because they have a different process. They have to do a lot more checks before they go live on air and say certain things. And I know that as fact. But these British journalists now will know that Manchester United fans, like I said, online, will be craving, absolutely dying to hear the words from someone over here. They want to hear the words Qatar in pole position. They want to hear the words Qatar preferred bidders, etc. Qatar decision imminent. All of these buzzwords. And they know if they attach themselves to it and it's wrong, like we said last night, they're in big trouble. And if they come out and say it's a load of bollocks, it's a load of rubbish, and dissociate themselves from it with language that isn't quite right or seems a bit off, again, they're going to lose their credibility. So sometimes the silence is the right thing to do. And I think a lot of those journalists, if you don't have anything good to say, well, not good, if you don't have anything factual to say, don't say anything at all. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of silence from some of the biggest characters, or what Ben Jacobs says. As of last night, still no change.
Yeah, I mean, what's quite interesting is in the last few minutes, CNBC, of course, massive American news publication in the United States, they're covering this story. Again, from the stock point of view, they're saying shares of Manchester United briefly popped 16% after Qatar media hits a takeover bid success. Now, they speak about, okay, what happened last night, where Qatar's Al Watan newspaper reported Tuesday evening that Sheikh Jassim, a son of the country's former prime minister and one of the richest men in the Mideast Gulf states, is poised to be announced as the preferred bidder of the Premier League club. A spokesperson, this is quite key, a spokesperson for Manchester United was not immediately available to comment. This comes after 7 months of negotiations with British petrochemicals billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, also in talks to buy the club. And again, they essentially say what happened last night, which was, again, these rumors, and then the stock price sort of spiked because of it. But certainly, again, even the fact that you've now got, again, this isn't even sort of sport. This is CNBC. This is mainstream, major news outlets, particularly in the United States.
Which, just quickly before you carry on, Owen, has happened across this process because it's the sale of a massive institution financially. Like, it has brought in the financial world. Well, we spoke to David Hellier from Bloomberg. You had you've got Financial Times across this, all the big financial, because it's a big financial transaction.
Yeah, and again, and now. Again, this is when you've got people like CNBC or organizations like CNBC covering what's happened with the stock last night, as I mentioned, there's definitely, that's the story really, is that there are these rumors. And because of that, there's been huge speculation and the stock price has gone up massively. So the fact that CNBC are even discussing what's happened, then clearly, as we said before, that's not fake. Like that's not fake in that essence that, you know, something happened and people speculated on it last night, and we're now at where we're at this morning too. So a lot of people talking about it from that point of view, maybe not so much focusing on, okay, where's the actual news of it coming from? And maybe that's the next step of it. But certainly interesting that even CNBC are now talking about what happened last night when it came to the stock price.
And that's just it. See, a lot of stuff is gonna go off today. Some that you want to see, some that you might not want to see. But I just think that it's going to be very cautious from here. And I hate to sound pessimistic. I know I said what my feeling was yesterday, and I still kind of stick by that. But it's not a foregone conclusion. I still wouldn't be shocked. Wouldn't be shocked if Sir Jim Ratcliffe still ended up buying Man United. I wouldn't. I think it is leaning more towards Qatar. There has been a swing. There definitely has been a swing in the reports and the feeling, hasn't there? In terms of finding out that Nasser has spoke to the Glazers, even though that was a while ago, which where it was being reported was like it was only yesterday, but that happened a while ago. In finding out with the 5th bid, and now this. That's 3 things in the last week that have really kind of gone Qatar's way in the way this thing's been reported. So that's positive if you're Qatar in. But the same way it was quiet for ages with Qatar, and it looked like Sir Jim Ratcliffe was building up some steam. I don't know. There's pros and cons for each bit. Each moment you say this is good for that side, there's an equal or opposite reaction that says this is why maybe not. It's not good for this, or it's not good for that.
Yeah. But I think it's fair to say
complex.
Within the last 7 days, like you said, it was around this time last week that the news came out of the 5th bid. And in that preceding 7 days, there is this feeling of momentum, isn't there, behind this bid? Is that like stuff has happened, momentum has built up. Start off with a bid and frustration. That went into the ultimatum. That went into actually, no, they're talking. That went into no exclusivity. That went into they're both quite close. It's just a decision as to who Glazers want to take it. That went into last night saying that, you know, those reports from Qatar saying that they had won it. So there does feel like there's momentum from the Qatari point of view. And there have been reports that they're now quite optimistic. At one point, they thought they were losing, maybe now not so much. And you would question, okay, what's happened in the last 7 days to make them feel like not so much? And that would maybe be that this 5th bid went in and clearly it was closer to what the Glazers are looking for. And during that period of time as well, during the last few months, Ineos's bid really hasn't changed all that much. The only thing that's really sort of tweaked was that it was for the same amount for a little bit less. And when it comes to that as well, there's only so low in terms of the shares that Ineos can go. If they're already at going, oh, well, 51%, what are they going to do now that Sheikh Jassim put another bid in? They're going to go higher for that same amount? Can they even do that? I don't know. But I agree with what you're saying is that, and this is the point of caution, is that you can't get too ahead of yourself because... No. You know, you can end up in a situation where, you know, I've seen people posting pictures of Qatari flags on Twitter and stuff like that. They're, like you said, there's a very real possibility
fully ready.
You could look like a massive fool come tomorrow if they say, you know, Ineos have won. You'd be like, oh shit. So there has to be caution still.
And it's because we don't know.
No, exactly. And no one really does.
Not know, bro. Like, yeah, we don't know. Like, we can draw on all these conclusions that made us excited yesterday. And look, they were real. Like I keep saying, they were real reports, but it doesn't transpire to mean that is 100% true. You know, that was claims from Qatar that they'd won from their media, that they'd won an announcement coming soon, versus claims from our media that not as far as I know. As far as I know, yesterday was still the same, mate. You know. And obviously, the sources come from different places. I have seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people in the comments, and we're really good at doing this as people. And I'll put myself in that. Like, if it's not the news we want to hear, we discredit and go at that person. Yeah. Ben Jacobs is a liar anyway. He doesn't know anything. Like, oh yeah, Mike Keegan. What do you know? British journalists are salty. They're just because they don't know, you know. And I'm not saying that sometimes there isn't a hint of that. I'm not saying that, but it's like when it's like when last season, remember all the leaks were coming out in the media, and we had to say, listen, guys, we know we're in the mud and there's a lot of bad stuff happening, but if it's a tweet that we want to hear, or it's news that we want to hear, it's easier to get behind it and say, I can see that happening, and I can't believe Maguire said this. Oh, why has he said that? He's a disgrace. Oh, at the time, Marcus Rashford was playing really badly, had that situation with the fan. Oh, I can't believe he said this. Why has he done that? Versus things that you don't want to hear. And it's like the media will spin things. The media will drop things in that might not be too far off the truth, or might not be that hard to believe considering the standard of football or where Man United are as a club, and go, this will get them going. Just drop it in. Drop it into the fire pit and let it. Do you know what I mean? Let it catch light, and we have to be careful of that with this as well. It's easy to just, and I'm not trying to bring the British media to the forefront and advocate them. I'm just keeping it balanced. I'm just saying, just because it might not be the news you want to hear, doesn't mean they're lying. And likewise with the Qataris, just because it is the news that we do want to hear, doesn't mean they're telling the truth. This is media. This is This is what happens in media.
Yeah, and also I would say be very wary of those like parody or fake accounts, because there is.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, to define it as a shit ton of them out there, it is crazy. It is crazy, and I get it. But this is almost the hardest part now. If we are in this end game, which even the domestic people were saying, they're in it definitely feels like we're in end game territory here. Is that you're going to also have to deal with the misinformation that comes with it too, aren't you? Of this person says, oh, it's done. Oh, that person's actually not real. All that kind of stuff. That's part of it too. So that's going to be a challenge over the next few days as well.
Yeah, it is. Watch this space. Of course, you're going to watch this space. You're not going to watch any other space going whilst we're finding out about what's going to happen. We're predicting a day of mutiny, a day of some silence, pretty much, from a lot of big journalists, because I don't think they'll want to attach themselves to these rumors. And I think that they will do like what Ben Jacobs has done, what me and Owen literally predicted last night, that it would be, although they said this, it's still this. And that is exactly to a T what he's done.
Even that is interesting because it's a response to someone asking him on Twitter. It's not like full on putting your head above the pulpit, a declaration. Still yet, nobody has done that. And that's going to be really interesting to see who's the first to do it. Who is the first to...
And what they say.
Yeah, who's going to be the first actually on their own, not a reply to anyone, not a quote tweet. Yeah. I mean, full on statement, whether it's Ornstein, Little Siren, whether it's Romano, whether it's Ben Jacobs with his thread, whether it's Mike Keegan or whoever, who's going to be the first to do that? Because again, so far it's been either radio silence or just like replies to tweets, which again, people don't really see anyway. They're easily
you don't even know unless you've got that person on maybe notifications, or you just have to go check in their replies to see what they've been saying. You're not going to see it, and it hasn't. I'm surprised actually that Ben Jacob thing hasn't been picked up quite big, because when you go to your aggregator accounts and you kind of get a feel for what the news is, usually they're all over that, and maybe they will do later on. But that because that is quite significant. That was a couple of hours ago, or 2.5 hours ago now. So that was probably about 7 o'clock in the morning here in England. And at the top of the morning, for him to be able to do that, that's significant, because he's saying the first thing I'm doing today is responding to this.
But it's also like I'm responding to this, but I'm not, I'm not fully going all the way out there. Yeah. I'm not all the way out being like, this happened last night, it's not true, or this is just someone go, Ben Jacobs, what's going on? I haven't really heard anything, so it's not full on like bang bang. We still haven't heard that yet. But that exactly. Inevitably, I think that will come to this. It's going to be interesting who it is and when they do it.
Yeah. Let's go through you guys' super chats. Duck, big up Duck, says, finally can catch a live show. Is that a Swedish flag? I think it is. Yeah, Swedish flag there as well. Big up to you. Finally catching a live show. Hope you're enjoying this, bro. And it's your first super chat as well. So another big congrats to you. Mike says, the Qataris don't know Ben Jacobs, LOL. How does he know what group has been informed? He's a pure waffler. Well, Mike, I don't know, man. Like I was just saying, just because it's not the news we don't want to hear, it don't necessarily mean he's lying. But contrary to that, you could have a point, Mike. Doesn't mean he's necessarily telling the truth because, let's face it, British journalists, their relationship or line of communication into Qatar has been somewhat questionable, hasn't it? And limited, I think, is a fair statement. Imran says New York Stock Exchange would only move for a Qatar bid, as Ratcliffe not bidding for the listed shares, only Glazer's shares. Well, that's what we kind of have seen. Pespian says, I believe these Qatar reports simply because they've been quiet the whole time. Why would they spread fake news? Somebody knows something with the eyes. Interesting thoughts there, Pespian. And Red Baron says, the blue tick doesn't mean anything anymore. Well, no, it doesn't, because you can just buy one.
Buy it.
Yeah. And even before, it was like, doesn't mean that the person's, the most credible person in the world. It used to carry a lot more weight than it does nowadays. But now you can literally pay $5.99 a month or whatever it is.
And also, what means something now is the gold tick, isn't it? It's either the gold tick from an actual, verified news organization, or that one where they've got a blue tick, but they've got a little picture next to it that they're an affiliate of a gold tick organization. You know what I mean? They're a journalist from boom, boom, boom. That's that's the new blue tick. But now it's true. Like you see blue tick, and having used Twitter for years, I'm still in the point where I see a blue tick, I go, and then I go, oh yeah. You can buy it. You can buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is a bit frustrating at times, but that's social media nowadays.
It is social media, and that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to be aware of, and make our conclusions. Little bit of transfer news to move on. Obviously, we'll keep you guys informed across that. Any breaking news, any reaction, any tweets from journalists, we will cover it. Of course, we will do that. But moving on a little bit to some transfer stuff on David De Gea, because it was actually quite interesting what's coming out. And there has been a tweet from Fabrizio Romano this morning that has kind of spoken about this. And there was some stuff last night as well. What's the latest on that, Owen?
I would just, before we get into that, by the way, we've got over 2,500 people watching, only 386 likes. We can get to 500 easily. Actually, 750. I think 750 needs to be the target. So if you haven't already, please do click the like button. As you can see, also top right-hand corner, actually there, you can see the subscriber count going up. We got to 142,000 last night. Look at where it's at now. 142,220 overnight. Absolutely crazy. Anything is possible. Road to 150K is well on. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And now certainly is the time with all of this takeover stuff going on. But yes, Flex, you spoke about David De Gea. Let's talk about the Manchester United goalkeeper, because Fabrizio Romano has tweeted this morning that Saudi clubs are aware of the verbal agreement at the final stages between David De Gea and Manchester United over a new deal, but they're insisting on trying to tempt the goalkeeper. United remain open in the market for a new goalkeeper in any case. So it's an interesting one, because essentially Romano's saying, they're aware of the situation at United, that De Gea. The only thing waiting to confirm this is, by all accounts, Eric Ten Hag, isn't it? It was done a long time ago, and it's just waiting for Ten Hag sign off. It hasn't been signed off or anything like that just yet. But the Saudi strategy, certainly this summer that we've seen, is a lot of these big players are coming to the end of contracts, whether it is Benzema, whether it's N'Golo Kante, whether it's who else has been linked? Sergio Ramos has been linked to it as well. Neymar as well. Zaha, even though he might be going to PSG. The point being is that they're seeing these big names and they're going after them. And David De Gea fits into that category of a big name, a known name, former international player, even though he's not retired, a former international player that is coming to the end of his contract and has yet to put pen to paper on a new one. And they certainly believe, hey, we think we might be able to get him. Could you see him going to Saudi Arabia? I mean, the reports out there previously had said that if he was going to leave England, he wanted to go back to Spain. He wanted to go back home to La Liga, but there wasn't a La Liga opportunity for him to go to. Could you see him, picking up and going to Saudi? Because you could argue that it's not really, not necessarily about the money, because he's about to take a massive, massive pay cut. But if he wanted to stick on the wage that he's currently on, he could get that in Saudi Arabia
and more. Yeah. I do think it's interesting that we're entering into this period where he's actively going to be a free agent, where it runs out. Is that now, or is that happened already?
No, at the end of the month, June 30th.
And right, June 30th. So we're going into that period, and it's still not announced yet, still not signed, still not done yet. You know, we've been told about this deal for a long time, where we expect him to stay, to the point where, you know, pretty much Erik ten Hag confirmed it in that interview where he said, yes, I expect him to stay, or want him to stay, or whatever the terminology he used was, but I won't always say he's my number one. Now, also, things can change. Now, Erik ten Hag did say that, but things can change in a short space of time. If David De Gea gets wind, or there's more conversations, I say get wind like they're keeping him in the dark. If Ten Hag says, actually, I've had to think about it, just to reiterate, before you sign this, I'm like the level of keeper that I'm looking for now. Like, I really am accelerating, looking for another one. Like, you are really going to have to fight this out. I'm not saying that that's it, you're done. I'm just saying, I know I said that I won't always say you're my number one, but I really meant that. Like, you're going to have to fight this out. Probably, if I can, if the market permits, I might even go and get a number one, and you're going to have to really try and get back in there. I'm just being honest with you. David De Gea could change his mind. He could. You never know. And that's why, the same way how we're saying with Harry Kane, just put the money down anyway, it's the same way the Saudis are saying, listen, we know you've got a pre-contract there all ready to go. Listen, Ten Hag ain't signed it yet, mate. All the reports are saying he wants a new keeper. Here's the money right now. Ronaldo's out here. Messi's, not Messi, Sergio Ramos, Benzema, maybe Neymar, all these big names that are coming out here. Wilfried Zaha. There's a lot, maybe Mahrez. There's a lot of speculation about a lot of players. It's become the new China, hasn't it, really, when China went through that influx of big money trying to get the players out there. And put the money down and give the players something to think about, show intent. And you just never know. David De Gea, family man, he seems quite settled, loves Manchester. Can I see him going Saudi now? No, I can't. I can't see him doing that personally. But you never know. He could change his mind. He could say, I really thought that I would probably, even though a new keeper was going to come in, they did kind of drop it like it was going to be a young guy. He'll push me, he can play some games, but I know I'm going to be there. But then it could have changed to, I'll tell you what, I've got absolutely no guarantees here. No guarantees at all. Especially if they say, listen, we are trying to get Diogo Costa, we are trying to get Onana, we are trying to get whatever other keeper it is for big money. That will spell it out for De Gea, and that could force his decision. So my roundup on that is, I don't think he will go to Saudi, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion with this situation. Things can change.
I think what is interesting with this one, and we have kind of seen this a little bit with these Saudi transfers this summer, is that when they come in for them initially, there's kind of a sort of scoffing of, would they really go? Something changes when that money goes on the table, Flex, because it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. And other people will have other reasons to go. I mean, I think it was Kante and Karim Benzema were saying, actually being
Kante's another one going up.
Yeah, they were saying being a practicing Muslim, being in the country of Saudi Arabia to them is a big
really
deal.
Them,
from their religious point of view, being able to be that close, again, to sort of religious home, if you will, is a real big deal for them. So there's another part of that as well. I think some people just focus on the money. That's another part of it, which they do take really seriously. But for someone like David De Gea, it's, and again, I know it's not necessarily all about the money, because if it was all about the money, then he might actually leave United. He would have never gone into contract negotiations, because they're cutting his pay quite significantly. But we don't know what kind of offer they'll put on the table. So if they put on the table to David De Gea, because this was the question that we kept saying, didn't we, with De Gea, what other club around the world, or Premier League club or club in Europe, would give him 375k a week, or even 200k a week? And we went, no club would do it. No club would do it. They've just found some clubs that will give you not only that, but more. I think
we were a bit naive to say what club around the world. I think we meant in Europe.
Yeah,
because it's a bit of an anomaly. The Saudi teams and teams out there in Qatar, or the Far East, that's not where the big competitions are won. That's not where most players want to be. It's becoming a place where a lot of players want to be, depending what stage they're at in their careers. But apart from Oscar, is the only one I can remember who went to China when he was, I don't know, he might even still be there. You know, when I remember when he was like 24, something like that. And I was like, bloody hell, he's a good player, Oscar. And I remember he went out there as a youngster kind of thing, not even in his prime yet.
But then he became like, he might have been the highest paid player in the world at the time, or second or third or
Insane.
something. It was crazy. It's crazy. And I know people say it's not about the money and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you know, and people say you shouldn't go out there in your prime, blah, blah, blah. But it's tough. You know what I mean?
Carrasco's another one. Carrasco went quite young, you know, and even came back to Europe as well. I think he's still at Atleti now, isn't he? But he came back from China. And again, when he went there was lots of links with the Premier League. Could he go, Man United, you know, because he's a good player. Then he went, nah, China, mate. And it was it's this big like deflation of like, oh, bit of an anticlimax. Them players are good. Them players can come Europe. They can go around Europe and play in the biggest clubs. But they opted to you know, go and do that. And listen, football's a short career. Listen, if you want to do that, because you can think of it two ways. You can think, I'm 24, I'll go there for 3 years, collect. You know what I mean? When I'm 27, in my prime, come back, reignite again. You know what I mean? Some people could look at it like that. It doesn't. You can't tell someone what to do with their career, what's best for their family, and what should be most important to them. But I think this Saudi Arabia thing's really started kicking off from this year. Well, really from the Ronaldo one. Really, that's what really sparked it. But now
it was the Ronaldo one, wasn't it? And I think people were wondering if that was somewhat of a one-off in terms of we're just going to get one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player ever, you know, to see what happens. But it's particularly the last few weeks, isn't it? When you go Benzema, boom, Kante, boom, and then you go, all right, Ramos might be going. Oh, there were links with Modric. I think he's going to stay at Real Madrid. But the point being is that
Mahrez,
you know. All Neymar, and you go, that's a big summer. I saw today that Aubameyang's in talks with like 4 Saudi clubs about going over as well. So certainly there is desire from this. It was reported, wasn't it? And the Saudi PIF, I think, even announced it, that they were turning 4 of the clubs, I think it's Al Ittihad, Al Nassr, and 2 others, into like private organizations with foundations and all this kind of stuff, basically saying like, we're giving these 4 sides a load of money to go and get these big players. And that's what they've done. They've gone and got these big players. And I think, again, they're certainly their strategy for the more immediate, okay, who can we get now? Those players that are tied into contracts across Europe, we can't get those if they've got 2 years left on their contract or anything like that. But those players, they're a little bit older and they're going to be free agents this summer. We can, at the very least, we can talk to them legally. We can talk to them and present them with a contract offer. And when we do, we're just going to blow them away. And that's why I say, I don't think David De Gea would go there. I still think the most likely scenario is that he probably ends up staying at United. But from their point of view, might be, if we can get in front of him, we'll blow him away, sort of thing. We'll give him an offer that he can't refuse, or certainly one that he has to really consider. And from a United point of view, it would be really interesting to know what Erik ten Hag would say to David De Gea. If David De Gea came to him and said,
he ain't lying.
Boss, that's what I mean. If David De Gea came to him and said, look, boss, I took a Saudi meeting. I thought, got you. But the agent, I didn't really want to do it. Agent said, take the meeting. So I took the meeting. They gave me an offer that is crazy. Now, I'm not saying you match it, because I know you're not going to match it. But you also said that I wasn't going to have assurances that I'd be number 1. I'm willing to take the contract offer on the table as long as I'm going to be number 1. What do you think Eric says? Does he say take the money and go? Or does he say, can't offer you no reassurances?
Owen, he says this. Well, it's clear. No change since the last time, You have to fight. Good is not good enough. He'd just say that. He'd just leave him with that. David De Gea would be like, fucking hell. Oh, well, he didn't give much away there, did he?
No.
Still saying I got to fight for my spot. Good is not good enough. So he's saying I'm good, but could be better. That's what he always says about everything. I haven't got any reassurances there. David De Gea is not going to get extra reassurances from Ten Hag. Ten Hag, I always say it. What's my favorite quote from Ten Hag, Owen, from the beginning?
You can look a player in the eye. Be confident
I love
in
it.
decision.
Do you know what? I actually want to find that quote. It was probably from. It's when he's in the cream. It's when he's in the cream suit, isn't it? When he done the sit down.
Yeah,
with
his first one. Well, it might have been. Yeah, it might be that one. I think it's that one. Yeah, I can look any. Yeah, it's a sit down, which he did before the press conference, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's what I mean. He did it with Rennie Mullenstein's daughter. I forget her first name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that, because I always remember being in the iconic cream suit. when he did his first interview. And when he said that, I always hung on to it, didn't I? I always kept saying, oh, how refreshing is that? I love that. And he's literally lived his season by that. He literally has made big decision. I can look at Ronaldo in the eye. Yes, you're not the guy. Yes, you're getting fined. Shouldn't have walked off. All of that. Yes, I'm not playing you. You can look at Jadon Sancho in the eye. Big money signing. Hottest property in Europe. A lot of expectancy from him in his first year under Ten Hag. Perfect manager for him. Sending him away. I can look him in the eye. You're not up to it. And or some personal things which we don't know about, to be fair. But from a performance-wise, I could look you in the eye. Harry Maguire, Man United captain. I was there in the first press conference in Thailand. I saw him say the words. Good player, still the captain, has a lot to offer. Looked him in the eye. 8 Premier League starts. Or however many starts he made, whatever it is. Like, he literally lives by that. So based off that, there is no... Garnacho, this kid was basically knocking on the door from pre-season. And we didn't see him. Didn't see him on pre-season at all. I don't think he even made an appearance in pre-season, did he?
No, he didn't. No.
You know? Then all the stuff came out. He's not ready. Attitude, this, that, and the other. Don't care if you're the boy wonder. Don't care if you twisting up players in training. Your attitude's not right. You're not in the squad, mate. You fix that. Looked him in the eye. You know what I mean? So David De Gea is going to be no different. No different. Diogo Dalot gave him a 6-year deal. Not starting in the final. I look you in the eye and say, like, if you give someone a 6-year deal, right, and they're not like 18, 19, Dalot's like an established professional now, yeah? It's not like he's like too young, so you want to keep him out of the spotlight. You don't know if he's capable to play. You just think Wan-Bissaka's better for that game. Don't care if you're on a 6-year deal. I.e., here's the team meeting. I'm going to look you in your eye, Diogo. Didn't even come off the bench. You're not playing. No offense. It's nothing bad. There's going to be games you will play, and you're going to fight it out with Aaron. But I'm looking you in the eye, and that's my decision. I don't care that just because you got a 6-year deal, don't mean you're a shoo-in my team. So, so back to the De Gea situation. He is not going to look at that situation and give David De Gea false hopes or false promises. I've got 100% confidence. 100%, Owen. Confidence.
100%.
100%. I've got 100% confidence in David De Gea, in Ten Hag, that he ain't playing. If any player knocks on his door, I think he tells the truth. If Scott McTominay walks down the corridor currently and says, boss, want to have a chat, what's the plans? Well, if you stay here, Scott, same as last year, really. Probably less, actually. You probably play less because I need to invest in this area of the field. Here's my plans. You might not be privy to, because when you're a big man manager, you can't be going into the manager saying who you're thinking of getting and shit like that. Who's on the list? Who you're going to get? That's none of your business. It's none of your damn business. What was that story about Rooney? Who even said it? And so Alex said,
"Oh, Sir Alex when he came in, and he went, who are we buying? Don't matter."
Exactly. Get out. That's the sort of thing where no player's bigger than the manager, no player's bigger than the club. That's not your job. Your job is to turn up for training every single day and be professional. Now, don't get me wrong. There are special circumstances for special players. Big leaders in the past, probably big captains and stuff, are probably kept a little bit more in the loop maybe than some other players. But in terms of most players, especially in the squad that we've got, do you think Bruno, because clearly Ten Hag loves him, right? And he's going to be the captain, right? Do you think Bruno has the power to kind of get an insight and say, what's your plans, boss? And he could give him some of like, well, I want us to play more like this. And, I think next year I want to get some support for you in this area. Those kind of talks, as opposed to, I'm going after Mason Mount. We're just waiting on the fee. We're doing this. We're doing that.
I don't even think Bruno would be privy to that. I really don't. Obviously you hear things, I think maybe from players. Oh yeah, so-and-so, maybe Bruno go up to Luke Shaw going, what's going on with Mason Mount? Is that a thing? Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday. It is actually a thing. Maybe that. Yeah, but I don't think they go to Ten Hag. I just can't see him being scared. No. And I think going back to De Gea, I think it's upon De Gea. De Gea has a real big decision to make because as the report says from Romano, the Saudi clubs, whoever they may be, are actively going to try and tempt David De Gea. They're going to do their best to tempt him. What does that mean? They're going to offer him a truck of money, literally bang on the table and go, there you go. What do you think? And then it's up to De Gea. What do you want to do? Do you want to go to Saudi, be very well compensated, play in a league that, according to Cristiano Ronaldo, is going to be one of the top 5 leagues in the world in 3 or 4 years' time, and all of these other big players are going to? Or do you want to stay at United on a lesser wage, and your first team position, your starting position, is no longer guaranteed? There is no reassurance you are going to be the starting goalkeeper on the first game of the Premier League season next year. And that's an interesting decision he's got to make. It would say a lot about his ambition, wouldn't it? Does he want to stay and possibly be second fiddle? Does he want to stay and fight? Or does he want to go get paid and play too? That's quite an interesting dilemma for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is an interesting dilemma. And we're going to have to wait to see how that one pans out, because for all we've been told is that David De Gea signed it, but Ten Hag ain't signed it off.
Yes.
And it's like, why? What's taking so long? Like, I know, again, you can't believe everything that's in the media, but what's taking so long to announce that? Diogo Dalot got announced, Luke Shaw got announced. Rashford, fair enough, it's a massive, massive deal. That is a huge deal. One that's going to tie him down through his prime. How old's Rashford now? 25?
How old is Marcus Rashford
26? Because he's been around for so long, you don't.
He ran since he was 16. That's the problem, isn't it? He's 25. Yeah, 25. 26 this year.
There you go. So he is going into his prime.
Yeah.
27, 26, 27, 28. Those years there.
26, 27, 28.
That's the prime, isn't it? Yeah. But that is, when would you say the prime is? It probably is then, isn't it? Some players it is, you can still be in your prime at 30. But I
depends
think
on the player, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like Vinicius Junior, what's he? 23, maybe.
Some people have their peak of their career when they are 30, like say, or they have an amazing season when they're 31 or something, and their peaks and primes last a shorter amount of time, don't they? And then you've got a player like Kylian Mbappe, who is terrifying because he's still young. Has he even got into his prime yet, Flex?
You want to say no because of, like I said, I think when you get to 26, 27, but then there's again anomalies. There's people outside of that realm, isn't there, where they're so good. How do you even judge their prime? So if you said prime Messi, okay, he's not. He's not that now, but his prime probably lasted bloody 10 years. From I don't know, 22, 23 to 31. How old's Messi now? Is he 33, 34?
34, something like that.
Let's just say that Messi was doing the same thing consistently from the age of
Although you could say Messi did have a prime year, because in that, was it 20?
Oh yeah, when he got, what was it, how many goals?
91 goals in the 20
calendar year. But to say that is that's the prime because you've done something, that's just the best season you've ever had kind of thing. But in terms of prime is maintaining an optimum level for a long period. You can't obviously if Haaland never scores this amount of goals in a season again, you can't say to him, oh, you were in your prime when you were 22, and all them other years you didn't quite hit the heights. If he keeps getting 50 or if he keeps getting 48 goals for the next 8 years, but never did 50 or 51 or 56, you can't talk to him and say, oh, come on, mate, you're still not as good as your first season at City, though, are you?
Well, that's the scary thing with Haaland, isn't it? You know what I mean? Is that he's only, 21, 22, something like that. And it's he's technically, he is again, according to, theories and primes, he should get better.
Yeah.
So if he's going to get better, that's terrifying.
But it shows you what football's like as well. And it's all about the teams you play in and stuff like that, because it's weird that a player that kind of uncut, he's not clean cut, he's like a rough diamond, he's not silky on the ball, it bounces off him quite a bit, he's quite quite messy. A player like that can score that many goals, but then there's a player like Mbappe who is head and shoulders above him in every department, in my opinion, apart from goal scoring, because
strength
and stuff like that. But Okay, yeah. In terms of like each individual attribute, you can say agility, strength, like the FIFA thing or the Football Manager. I get that, but in terms of as a player, I'm saying Mbappe's clear. But Mbappe will never score at the rate that he does, and you can say he's a left winger, and Haaland's an out and out 9. But
here's one.
It just shows you the styles make fights.
Could Mbappe score that at the Haaland level of goals if he played for Man City this season? I think he probably could have.
Yeah, in a 9, yeah, he can. Yeah, he can. Harry Kane could.
Yeah, I agree.
Harry Kane could. Maybe a little. You could argue 5 or 6 goals here or there, swing. But
that's not to put down what Haaland's done. Obviously,
no.
say, oh yeah, anyone can do it, because not anyone can do it. I think the point is that there is only a very select few people that could. You know what I mean? Very, very select few people that could. And obviously, one of them is Erling Haaland, but another one could be Kylian Mbappe as well.
Yeah, exactly. Before we wrap up, Red Baron says, Owen. Oh, actually, let's go a little bit further forward. Red Baron says, we're getting Roy Carroll, Owen's favourite player.
I had him on the back of my shirt as a kid. Yeah.
Unbelievable. V33 says, morning, guys. I'm late. Are we feeling Qatari yet? Some people in the chat are, V33. Not me and Owen. Not just yet. We're calm. And if I know well, when did you send that? You said you just joined in the show. Oh, you're late. That was at 9:37. It's 9:57 now. But I'm sure you get the gist of what we're saying, that, we'll wait and see what the domestic journalists say and see if they can confirm or deny any of what's going on. Ben Jacobs has been the first to kind of put something out there. And Red Brown says, Owen, dye your hair blonde if Qatar get in.
Why do I have to do it? We can, in fairness, we'll get KG to dye his hair. Oh, actually.
Low blow. Ahmed says, Owen, we need you to wear a bisht when the announcement is made official. Imagine Owen and bisht. That would be amazing. Yeah. Lil Yo-Yo says, coincidence, there's more pictures of Sheikh Jassim. I did see that. A couple more. They're really old
new angles as well.
And
it's from the same thing. He did a press conference. It must be at some point in like the mid 2000s. They're old.
Good.
They're old. But a couple more surfacing. It's just cool instead of just the same one being used over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, just to let you know, there is no FIFA stream today. Disgrace cheat. Josh is not here with us at the minute. So there's no FIFA stream later on today. There is going to be a Flexing KG show, but it's going to be live. A lot of you guys have asking for a live Flexing KG show for a while, so we've got a live Flexing KG show to make up for no FIFA live at 6 p.m. So make sure you guys join us for that. I can see in the comments people are annoyed about that. How dare you? What? No way. No, I wanted to hate on the FIFA stream. Yeah, not today's show, Ramen. And we're winners now as well. We're pushing title charge. Sad times, no FIFA stream. Yeah, exactly. So no FIFA stream today, but there is a live Flexing KG show. Simon Stone tweet. Owen, is that true?
Yes, that is. I believe that actually is true. That actually is true. So Simon Stone has just tweeted in the last couple of minutes or so, saying that it's an article. I've got to read the article now. But apparently in the article, according to United Report here on Twitter, he has said that sources involved in the Manchester United sale process have played down the accuracy of reports of a successful Qatar bid, which, I'll tell you what, Flex, near enough word for words, yeah? Not bad guesswork from you or I yesterday evening.
There you go.
Basically, it's an article where he's a bit like the CNBC article written about what happened last night, particularly from the share price point of view, saying that the rumors had originated from Qatar and involved senior officials at media organizations linked to the family of Sheikh Jassim. Sources involved in the process have played down the accuracy of the reports, and the price did drop slightly. So that's really all he's saying, and then a bit of background on it. So the key thing from that is he's saying that sources involved in the process have played down the accuracy of the reports. But not denied it.
Yeah, that's the line, and it's like a little piece basically on like
played it down
page. Yeah,
played it down.
Done exactly what we said. And again, just actually, it's interesting. It's just come out now as I was about to leave. Actually, it's probably perfect timing. Look, a lot of you now will probably say, "What does he know?" Simon Stone's lying, etc., etc. But this is what we were saying yesterday. It was very unlikely for journalists this side of the coin to co-sign that and say, yeah, that's, because let's face it, that's not been their sources.
No.
All the way over there has not been their sources. It just hasn't. And I'm not surprised. And I think that's Ben Jacobs now, who's basically said the same thing, and Simon Stone, who said the same thing. They will all be colluding together and, picking up the phone to each other, messaging each other in their WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. Plus, more importantly, speaking to their publications. And there'll all be a sort of blanket response. I don't think you'll get one of those who will go left while all the rest go right. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen today. I would say that almost as a definite, in my opinion. Today, what we'll get is more journalists saying what Ben Jacobs just said earlier in the morning and what Simon Stone's just said, which is what we were saying. Who's going to be the first to talk about it? Who's going to be, and what will they say? We're starting to get a feel of that now, aren't we? We know what's going to happen. Laurie Whitwell's not going to see that and go, it's different to that. He's not. Yeah. He's not going to do that.
And also, again, the language involved is quite interesting because, as mentioned, it's a very short bit in an article where it just says they've played it down. They've played it down. They haven't said, no, that's not true. They haven't said, we don't know where that's come from. They've gone, we've played that down. We've played that down. Which, again, even that's quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, yes, we are out of the door, so we'll leave you with that. If there are any major developments, not just anything cynical, but anything major that we think we need to report and come and tell you guys, we definitely will do that. And like I said, if not, then we'll see you at 6 p.m. for the Flexing KG show, guys. Thank you for watching as per usual. Let me make sure I've got all of the chats out. Yes, we have. And thank you to all for watching. We'll see you again later on during the day. Take care. Peace.